Hello everyone, it is Sunday night and we are coming to you live from inside of Bat City Comic Professionals in Bradenton, Florida, so help you wind down your weekend. As always, I'm your host Shannon, aka Small Press Shann, here to talk to you about this week's latest and greatest in indie and small press new releases. It's a great big week of wonderful, exciting comics, and I can't wait to tell you all about them. 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 that I've been waiting for a while now. I'm so excited. But of course, before we talk about comics, in order to wind down your weekend, we need some wine. So this week we are drinking Route 1, which is a Cab Sav. It's a Chilean Cab Sav. And it's extremely high rated. Like, it's got all kinds of awards on it. So I'm really excited. It says it's full bodied. It says that it's got a long, lengthy finish, which, like, you know, means there's going to be a lot of, like, great flavors that come with you after, like, come into it afterwards. It's got red berry and mocha flavors. And that always means nothing to me because I can't have coffee, so I'm always like, I'm sure, like, mocha, chocolate, all those things that you say are in your wine are in your wines. Wouldn't know, but I'm really excited to try them anyway. So we're going to try it. I chose this one of the options tonight because we are going to be talking about the return of Bitter Root, so I'm really excited to talk about root wine before we kick off comics. So let's give it a go. Oh. I like watching Matt, like, actually, like, take a look at it and test it out over there. It kind of starts out tasting a little like church wine, but then grows into...
It tastes much better than church
yeah,
wine.
But I'm like, I'm saying, like, that grapey flavor, because that's always, like, super grapey. It has that, like, strong grape front taste to me, but then it opens up into so many other flavors. It's a really strong smell. I'm not sure, like, what the smell is, but it's very strong.
I like it. It's very balanced.
Yeah, and that's funny because that's, like, the first thing it says is that it's full-bodied and balanced, so it's funny. And it does have a lengthy finish. Like, I feel like even, like, going down my throat, I'm still getting, like, new flavors from the palate of it. So, I mean, I think this is going to continue to be a good one. It says it's great on warm days and cool nights, which kind of takes care of everything that we have here. It says it's like got this. The valley it's grown in, it provides a perfect ideal environment for it to reach its maximum potential as a grape. And it definitely feels like that. Like, it's got like I said, it's got a lot of grape to it, like very strong taste, full bodied as they call it. But there's definitely a lot in there. And, you know, we always talk about, like, are they, like, smooth? Are they buttery? Or are they, like, sweet? Are they this? This one, like Matt said, it's kind of, like, just really balanced within a lot of those flavors. Are you smelling, like, the thing all over? Like, there's so much to this. We're going to be drinking this. I like it because it is root. I like that it almost kind of tastes like if I grew my wine, like, on a tree. Like, you would get a little bit of that, like, tree bark taste to it. Kind of has
earthy?
It does have a little bit of earthiness to it. Not a strong earthiness, though. That's why I'm like, not like, it doesn't taste like the tobacco ones where it's like, this was grown in the ground with the plants. It kind of tastes like it grew up the tree. And I don't know what that means, but I kind of know what made up thing I just decided is the taste of this wine. But it's very good, and I cannot wait to continue tasting it. And also, because it's Chilean, I wonder if it does seem to have a lot of the same flavors that we see in some of those non-Cab Savs from Chile. And so I wonder if that's a part of also why the grape taste comes the way it does. But we're going to be drinking this the whole night, so we'll talk about it more as we open it up and see what happens. Of course, like, I feel like I should unscrew it, because the thing about the screw top caps that's great is I don't have to worry about whether or not I'm going to knock it on the comics or anything. But the bad thing about it is it doesn't get to aerate. And so we're going to leave it open so that it can actually breathe and we can taste it the rest of the evening with those flavors. this, we always have to recap what happened at Bat City and what's going to happen this last week. We had our creator meetup, which was really cool. We had some creators come out and work on all of their different pieces of the projects that they were working on. We got to see some sketching get done for different people, both digitally and print. So it was really cool. We got to talk about some projects coming up. We also talked about some really cool things we're going to be doing with Creator Meetup. We're talking about actually having 2 different creator meetups each month, one which will be working hours and one which will be talking about skills that creators need to expand their toolbox and get ready for the things that they're going to be doing. And so we've got a massive list of skills and the business skills that a lot of the creators are like, I want to know about these things, like social media marketing and building portfolios and building pitches and how to network with other people, and just how to have those conversations. And so one creator meetup a month will be talking about those things, and the other one will be working hours. And so keep an eye out for those additional things. And then and some great other things that will be coming to go with those creator meetups, with some more space to do those kinds of things in. The other thing we did this week is I got to have the awesome honor of getting to go out to Imagine School North Manatee and be a part of their annual history fair put on by history teacher extraordinaire Jason Wall. It was really cool. There were 80 8th grade students who created a project which included a paper, a presentation, and an awesome poster board. We posted some of our favorite cool looking poster boards onto our Instagram and Facebook the last couple of days. But congratulations to all the students. It's really awesome to see them just like come out there, put it all together, and be prepared. I know it's scary to have to present to judges who are college professors and teachers and educators and talk about the thing that you learned, but it was really cool to see them all do it and in their own special ways. And speaking of Imagine School, before I wrap that up, don't forget April 12th, Imagine School's ComCon is happening. This is the North Manatee location. It is 10 to 4 on April 12th. You can come out. We'll be there selling comics, teaching workshops, possibly moderating some other panels with some other people. You'll also be able to see our great friend of the store, Gary Barker, artist of Garfield, Dan DiDio from pretty much all of your big 2 comics, but of course his work with DC Comics is what he's most known for. Darkseid will be there to sell you some cards and games, and Ringling will be out doing, Ringling College of Art and Design will be doing some really cool presentations as well. So come out. The money for the tickets does go to support the school and all of the cool things they're doing. And this is a school that has a pop culture class as an elective, as well as a pop culture club that gets to do cool things like come to Bat City. So, support them, help them out. It's always great to support schools and give back to our community in that way. Also, this past week, we just had our first ever tarot class, which was themed around the release of Minor Arcana. It was taught by Matt. It was a lot of fun. Thank you to everybody who came out for that. It was great to get to learn some history and some meanings from Matt, and then be able to put that into practice with pairs throughout the night and see some readings happen. So it was really cool. Thank you. We've had a lot of people who've asked when the next one is going to be, so we will do it again. So look on the calendar for that to come again in the future, because we hear you all asking, and there will be more chances for stuff like that, as well as other things geared around other comic releases and stuff. The other thing coming up soon, don't forget, this is a big month. So this Saturday, April 5th, the store will be open and Matt will be here, but Santiago and I will actually be downtown on the Riverwalk of Bradenton for the Bradenton Art and Music Festival. There's going to be a huge, exciting festival going on, and we are going to be talking about the history of comics out there. We are going to be making some cool pieces of comic art with you. We're going to have some vendors out there like Gary Barker, Tim Von Klote, Anthony Pizzo, and Adrian Prudhomme, as well as the zine making station and other things to add to a massive festival that is going to represent every kind of art and music you could possibly want to see. That is 11 to 7, downtown Bradenton, April 5th. Again, April 12th, we will be at, Santiago and I will be out at Imagine School for their Comic-Con. April 19th, we will be here for our Remake Learning Days Academic Adventures. It is going to be such a great time. That is always a fun day. Bring out the whole family. There's tons of activities and tons of ways to win prizes and cool things like that. And then don't forget that May 3rd is Free Comic Book Day. It's coming up. It's coming soon. It's going to be here before you know it. We are going to have free hot dogs from the Good News Grillers while supplies last, so come out early to get your free hot dog. We're going to have all kinds of free comics. There will be vendors. If you are somebody looking to vend at Free Comic Book Day, let us know. We may still have some space for people. And then it's just going to be an awesome time. You don't want to miss Free Comic Book Day. So, yeah. All kinds of stuff coming up, going on. We'll still have all of our regular programming all month long, so make sure you check our Facebook and our Instagram. That calendar will be going up tomorrow. The events are already all listed on Facebook for the different month. And yeah, it's going to be great. You're not going to want to miss April at Bat City. It's going to be insane. So that said, if you are a school or a teacher or a parent or a kid who is watching this, if you're a kid, please go to bed and stop watching the show where we drink wine. But if you are wanting to enter our bookmark competition, our annual bookmark design competition, I know we said that they were due tomorrow. One, we're not open tomorrow, so you should have known that that was a trick question, because we are actually expanding it, and so you will have through this next weekend to bring your bookmarks in. So now's the chance. Get your designs completed. We have seen some really incredible designs. Competition is definitely fierce this year, and we're so excited. But bring it in. It's your chance to get your bookmark chosen by our judges and turned into a bookmark for yourself, for your friends, for your family, for your school, and of course for our summer reading programs here at Bad City. So get those in. You can send them in digitally to contact@badcity.org, or you can drop them by the store anytime this week. All right, I'm gonna take another drink of Root One. Oh, that's weird, because now it like almost didn't even taste that grapey at all in that drink. What a weird. I love the way wine just becomes a completely different thing as it gets air on it. It's such a strange process. Science is cool. That would be my science fair project. We should do adult science fair, and I would just be like, here's how wine works. All right, we're going to talk about some comics, and we are going to kick off this week with Department of Truth, issue 29 from Image Comics. I was laughing earlier today because I was like, how do you make a comic like Department of Truth, in 2025 and with all the craziness that's going on, and still feel like you are creating the craziest thing possible? And they keep taking it to new levels to actually do that, and it's so fascinating to see exactly what James Tynion and Martin Simmons are going to do. And in this issue, what they're kind of talking about is it's just kind of exposing the actual truth. So if you don't know Department of Truth, it is the story of a department of the government whose job it is to keep conspiracy theories from becoming real, because basically if enough people believe in a conspiracy theory, it actually starts to happen. And this government entity is run by Lee Harvey Oswald, who is in fact still alive and been running this department of the government for years and years. And so now there's been a couple of times throughout history where they've actually told everybody that the Department of Truth existed, and kind of let the craziness that comes out of that kind of lead it into its own place and kind of give them the power that they need. And so in this issue, they're kind of leaning into that once again, and we're going to see what that outcome and that fallout really does look like for the first time for us. We're going to get to see that exposure truth and what it really means. It's getting wild, more so than ever in this book, and yet it almost seems more realistic at times. So check it out. There are trades for all of the different issues from the beginning, because we are on issue 29. So if you need to go back and check that first arc, in the beginning it was kind of like story of the week kind of situation. Now it's kind of more of a full-on story. So you're going to have to jump in and see where it's going. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Saturday Morning Adventure issue 23 from IDW. If you are a fan of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles cartoon, this is the book for you, because this is bringing those adventures back to comic book form. And in this one, we get a Donatello-based story, which means I love it. It's fantastic. Could have been pick of the week just because it was about Donatello. But everybody else is sick, and Donatello goes out to try to get some cold medicine for his brothers, and while he's out, a man comes to him and says he is with an organization called Dude, and he needs him to help him stop these bad guys, and so he's gonna have to be a spy, and he gets all these cool spy gadgets, and an attempt to try to be a spy. And Dontel is like, I'm a ninja, not a spy, but this is kind of fun and I love it, except for the fact that he ends up not doing so hot. And of course, it's up to his brothers to come in and rescue him and help him take down the bad guys. But it's just a ton of fun with all the heart and excitement that the Ninja Turtles themselves have in every issue and every episode. And what's cool, these are episodic, so you can always just grab one and jump in and share them with the kids in your life that need to learn about the Ninja Turtles. Knights, issue 14 from Image Comics. This is, I always say this is like if you made an Americanized Miyazaki film. And so if you're fans of things like Spirited Away or Princess Mononoke or anything like that, and you were like, I'd like to see a futuristic American version, this is kind of exactly that. We follow the stories of a vampire, some other monstrous person that I can't tell you because it's kind of spoilery, a ghost who is a skeleton, and a young boy who are all connected. And we've been kind of in their futuristic story, the futuristic America and the story that lives there. But in this arc, we are actually going back to the 70s and seeing what Gray the vampire's life was like when she came into contact with the organization that's been hunting her for the very first time, and the people that kind of led her to being who she is and the guarded person that she is, as well as learning exactly what this organization is and why it started the way that it is. And we're starting to see that there's obviously layers and layers to everybody, and that nobody's really good or bad in this story, and there is a big world that is hiding inside of each person, and it's how they kind of figure out how to communicate those things within themselves. They can't really communicate them with others. And it's opening up the idea that, like, the bad guys got to be the bad guys because of things that happened to them, and the good guys got to be the good guys because of the way they reacted. And so where this is all going to go and how it's going to circle back to the present, which is of course our future, we're going to find out as we go. But if you haven't read it yet, it's a lot of fun. It's got a lot of heart. It's a lot of weirdness all at the same time, and it always has a soundtrack on the back of songs for each issue and a QR code so you can actually play it while you read it. Which if you can read and listen to music at the same time, that's always really cool. I like that they give you the list of the songs, though, so if you don't want to use Spotify, you can go find the artists and the songs and build your own playlist on whatever kind of music source you like otherwise.
Is the QR code for Spotify?
The QR code is for Spotify, and that's why I like that they give you the option to not use Spotify. All right, we have Feral, issue 11 from Image Comics, and our awesome friends, Tony Fleece, Tris Forstner, and Tony. Oh my God, I love Tone. All right, so if you haven't read this awesome book, this is basically The Walking Dead with cats. It's fantastic. It's basically literally like if a rabies virus infected all of the animals on the world and they were having a zombie outbreak and the humans didn't really know what was happening, and like they're not really a part of the story because it's about the cats trying to survive. And so we're following one group of house cats that woke up to this disaster one morning and is trying to get back to their home, and now has realized that they need to get back to somewhere even safer. They've recently come through essentially like a governor type situation where somebody was keeping them safe, except not really keeping them safe. Maybe it was kind of actually the prison. Now that we're through it, it might have actually been more of the prison kind of situation in Walking Dead. But we're kind of seeing a little bit of those bits and pieces of that in this world. And as these cats have constantly tried to make their escapes, they find themselves in worse and worse dangers every time. And there, I will just say, no cat is safe in this story. Like, every time you think, oh, it's going to be fine, like, nobody's going to harm a kitty in this cute little book that looks like a Disney movie, just remember that Tony Fleece has no problem breaking your heart, and he will absolutely do it on every single page in this book. But he's a nice human. Don't hold it against him for the fact that he's letting these cats go through terrible things. I love you, Tony. Standstill, issue 8 from Image. This is the wrap-up of Standstill. And this is a really big adventure told through really big kind of double-page spread, almost kind of cuts for every page. Very cinematic. It's almost like reading the storyboards of an action movie, but this is about a guy who has a very personal vendetta against a lot of people, and he ends up stealing a time travel device to use it to go back and find ways to take out all of these people that harmed him. And he's gonna do that by freezing time, by traveling through time, whatever he has to do. And he's now at this point like come to the end of that, and he should be retiring, but unfortunately they have sent some assassins after him to kind of try to take him out and reclaim his time travel device. He's got one friend in the whole entire world who should definitely not be his friend, because he is the very person that the time travel device was stolen from, who is trying to help him survive this, and they are going to have to go up against this evil agent who is trying to take them out. And will they make it? It's kind of up to the end of this book. You have to read it. It's the end of the story. I'm not going to tell you. But again, you can see it's very storyboard-esque and feels like a grand adventure, which keeps the action moving all the way around. And one of the cool things is that you always get a wraparound cover on these, which is really cool because it's almost like another double-page spread of action. So if you didn't read it yet, grab all 8 issues. They're out now, and join the adventure and see what happens, because it's really cool to see him go from just like angry vigilante to on his way to learning new things. We've got Monster High New Semester issue 7 from IDW. This has been honestly one of the big sellers in our store. There have been so many people who come in here looking for this book, and this is the final oversized issue of this arc. They can tell me that it can't be the end of the story, but it definitely could be the end of the arc. If you haven't been reading it, basically a lot of people, specifically zombie-related people, have started going missing from Monster High and the community. And right now, all of the lead characters of the Monster High world, all of the girls, have been not really working together, not really on their best like friendship levels that they've always been. And so Frankie is trying to bring them all back together because she knows that there's something going on that needs their help. And now she herself has gone missing, and so the girls have had to like put aside all of their feelings of anger towards each other and try to figure out how to find Frankie and save her before it's too late, as well as figure out who is actually behind all of the problems that are happening in the school and everything. And so we're going to see a lot of that get unraveled in this issue, but new problems may be forming. And if you don't keep printing Monster High IDW, I'm going to have a lot of very angry people. So make more. It's great. Falling in Love on the Path to Hell, issue 7 from Image is finally here. I've been asked every week for like the last 2 months, where is the next issue of Falling in Love on the Path to Hell? It's here. It exists. It's ready for you. Come get your action on as you dive into this new issue. If you don't know this story, it is about 2 people that find themselves suddenly in the afterlife, having to figure out like what is going on. One is a surly cowboy, one is a female samurai, and they immediately cannot communicate with each other, but over the attacks that they're faced with by an evil man who kind of feels like he's running this purgatory the way he wants to, they start to develop their own ways of communicating with each other and learning from each other, and they build out this relationship, and now they're determined to keep each other safe and figure out what is actually the path to the other side. How do you get out of this purgatory, and how do you actually cross over? And they are trying to help each other do just that, but all they kind of do is find themselves in more and more danger, with people constantly chasing after them. And in this issue, they have finally come to a point where they might have actually found somebody who can be an ally. Just as dangerous as he is, he might actually be the only person that can help them stop this ultimate bad guy. And we're going to see if they choose to take on that action as the future unravels before them. It's such a cool book, and the relationship has been like almost very realistic in how slow and developed it's coming. So we'll see how that one wraps up as it unfolds. Speaking of wrapping up, Murder Kingdom, issue 5, Mad Cave. I'm not putting this in my picks of the week only because you already know that I love this book, so I wanted to give you new picks. But I will say, this is the end of Murder Kingdom, and great freaking job. We don't see a lot of people actually wrap up a story well on these murder mystery kind of stories, and this one actually really does. So, we're gonna jump in. So if you haven't read this yet, this is the story of a girl who works at a theme park that's very mouse-esque, but is not run by the mouse. And she finds herself one day noticing that people are getting murdered. And she's like, oh my gosh, and nobody's trying to solve this mystery. They're just covering it up because nobody dies at a theme park. And she's like, I have to be the one to solve this murder. And so she starts investigating all these different pieces of the puzzle and trying to figure it out. And man, does she uncover some major conspiracies. And it is insane. And also there's tons of Agatha Christie references in this book, so it makes my little Agatha Christie loving heart happy. She literally calls them out at one point in this, and I was so happy. But it's so good. The fact that they're able to, I don't want to show you anything from that half of the book. I'm going to go back to the front. And I don't know what I don't think and it's so good. It wraps up wonderfully. We see, seriously, people who are writing the Scream movies and any slasher movies, you need to be required to read this book, because they nailed it. They got the humor, they got the heart, they got the switcheroos and all that kind of stuff. This person, they got it. They understood the assignment and they nailed it, and they wrap it up well and give us all of the is it over? Is it not over? Is it going to be over forever? Is it going to come back? I don't know. Keep going. If we have 7 Scream movies, we can have 7 Murder Kingdoms. I'm fine with that. But seriously, way to go. This is great. All 5 issues are out now. You can grab it, or I believe it says the trade paperback will actually be out already in May. And if that is correct, yeah, trade paperback will be collected by May, so you can also just grab it in May in one solid thing that'll probably be beautiful and amazing, and you're going to want it. Definitely read it. Sweet Paprika Open for Business issue 4 from Image Comics. And this is a Sweet Paprika story actually not written by Mirka Andolfo. This is done by Steve Orlando. And I'm going to pretend like I can show you pages of a fantastic book that I can't really ever show you.
Why not?
Because it is very, very, very mature. There is a lot of, look, I can mostly show you this page. So this is, Sweet Paprika is normally about a woman who is a devil who actually works as an editor for a publishing company. This is about Paprika's assistant, Aubrey, who is a mess of a human. He's got way too much anxiety for anything, and he is in a relationship with a man named Persica. And Persica is all about the, I'm the hot guy who wants an open relationship. And, let's go for it. And Aubrey doesn't want an open relationship, and he feels like that's not his thing. Well, they end up having a point where Aubrey meets a new person, and Aubrey feels like that person only wants him and is happy to just be with only him. And so Aubrey starts building a new relationship with this person, only for Persica to find out. And now they are kind of on the outs. Aubrey is throwing himself into his work to get away from the fact that he is torn between the two people who he feels are possibly the best and worst people for him, and he is trying to figure out how to just solve that. And honestly, Aubrey, you're a mess. You're not doing a good job of trying to figure it out. I have so much relationship advice for you, but I also really love your rom-com of completely and totally getting it wrong. And there's so much heart and love between all of these people, and ridiculous comedy. And this is such a perfect book for Steve Orlando to be writing. He nails it. He gets all of the emotion you need. But seriously, Aubrey, call me. Let's talk about the fact that you need to get your life together, buddy. Because we could be besties, and I can help you through it. Planetary Expansion, issue 4 from Critical Entertainment. Another extremely popular book here at Bat City. We are completely sold out again. Except for this issue 4. So if you missed issue 4 and you bought those 1, 2, and 3, I have one right here in my hand. This is the story of a group of people who are supposed to be taking a journey to another galaxy. They're going to a planet in a different solar system that's supposed to be a great place for us to rebuild, colonize and rebuild and have a great restart. But all of these people who were selected or have chosen to go come together on this for the day of say goodbye to your family, and there's all the families are invited to come on and kind of see the ship. Well, while they're doing that, some stuff goes down and everybody panics, and they're like, the only way we're going to be able to get this ship off the ground without getting our trip canceled is if we take off now. So now the ship has taken off, and all of the families and all of the people that aren't supposed to be on the ship are still on the ship. So they're over capacity. They don't have a real plan. They don't really know what's even going on, but they are up and away, and it is going to be a big mess. Meanwhile, we got some guy who's doing some shady stuff going through here. Don't really know what he's up to, but it's going to be bad. And there's some people who are up to even shadier stuff than him. And we're going to be stuck in space, and it is going to get really bad really fast. And we are now actually going out into space for the first, midway through this issue, we actually start our journey into space. So I have a feeling that next issue is going to really get crazy. Because where do you go when you're all stuck together on a ship? This is a really big week for issue 4s, by the way. So I've already told you 2 issue 4s. It's a big stack of them right here in the middle. So and wrap ups because of that. So we've got Long Cold Winter issue 4 from Mad Cave. This is the wrap up of this. And as usual with this team, it's just got so much heart and the weirdest art. Francesca Perilla really writes a great story. And so, this is about a young boy who is literally Kid Robot, and he needs to get to a space, and he needs somebody to help him. And so he ends up getting this vigilante who is not necessarily supposed to be a good person to agree to take him on. And the guy's literally called Peace Dog, but he's I'm not a good, he's the gruff, I'm not a good guy. It's kind of like a True Grit almost, in Stefano Carticelli Space World. And so, because there's no air and no oxygen kind of stuff in there, and you have to wear a mask to survive. Anyway, they are on their long journey to there. There's a lot of people who are coming after Peace Dog who have been determined to catch him and kill him and destroy him and all of the things that he holds dear. And this poor boy is just kind of wrapped up in all of that on his journey. And some really great moments happen in this issue, and some really great conversations about the future of humanity. And I don't want to show you any of the rest of it or talk to you about it, because everything past where my fingers just were is a giant spoiler to the end of the story. So read it, stare at the beautiful art that Stefano makes and these cool characters that he designs for Francesca's beautiful stories that, again, always just get you right in the heart. Dust to Dust, issue 4 from Image Comics and the Giant Generator imprint, which is Rick Remender's imprint. This book is definitely one of my favorites on the shelf. It's so cool to look at. It's got such a great story. This is all about a small town during the Dust Bowl and everything is, of course, they're in that Oklahoma, western kind of area, Midwestern kind of area, and they're really suffering. This is a town that was thriving because of crops and the wheat that they turned out, and now with the Dust Bowl, everything's just kind of destroyed, and especially for them, because again, they were a farming community, and so now they've tilled up all their land, and it's just terrible. People are starting to move out, but something evil is starting to move in. And I love the slow sense of dread that comes with this book, because we have no idea what that evil is or anything. And a young, early late 20s, early 30s woman comes to town, and she's a photographer, and she is trying to get images of the Dust Bowl in its place that it's hitting the most. But what she's actually finding out is there's been some kind of murder here, and she kind of wants to help the police figure it out. But we learn from all of the people in town. I love this because this is the only page with color, and it's like, hey, everything may be dark and gross, but at night the sky is still beautiful. She's in the middle of all of this. There's so many town dynamics. Like, it's like reading the Jaws novel and finding out that it's all more about like the people in the town and all of the politics and how they connect to each other and how they kind of like don't want anybody to know about the murders and the different things that are happening. It very much has that kind of feel. And yet we're supposed to be like afraid of this thing, and we don't even know what it is yet. We haven't talked about it really at all. We've only kind of seen even like that there's glimpses of something to come. It works so perfectly for the time period, and the art is just, the sepia tones are so fantastic for coloring this book. This is something that it's going to be here every week. Every month that it comes out, we're going to be gushing over it because it's so good. And if you haven't started reading it yet, you absolutely need to. Doll Parts, issue 4 from Image Comics, and this is a prequel to Lovesick. If you haven't read that, it is a very, very mature title. So this is going to also be a very, very mature title, just so we're clear. But this is the story of a girl who is a 18-year-old girl who feels like her family doesn't pay attention to her because they don't, and her mom is terrible. I'm just gonna be honest, her mom is awful, and she tells her that she wishes she never existed and that she's a curse to their family and that she should just die. And so the girl kind of really feels that way about herself. She wants to die. She wants to find a way out, and she ends up, this is, in the early days of chat rooms, and she ends up in a very adult chat room that children should not be in, and she ends up telling somebody that she's underage, and they start stalking her and attempting to kill her and, steal her and do all kinds of terrible things to her. She is able to kind of figure out that situation, but it opens up a dark side of her and her realization that is kind of both what she wants and yet what she wants to destroy about herself all at the same time, which leads us into Lovesick and the fact that she does run a red room. I can't show you most of this issue. I can't show you most of this book, but this issue specifically because it is our bridge piece from this moment into Lovesick, which, like I said, very, very mature book. And so this actually has a really good story, though. It builds up a lot of how she could have become the person who wants the things she wants in Lovesick, and how she could also be the one who, like I said, wants to destroy those things at the same time. And so it's really a really interesting psychological study into a mind of a person who's experienced a lot of trauma. Sherlock Holmes, The Dark Detective, Claws of the Chimera, issue 4 from IPI Comics. If you are reading this, you know that Sherlock actually solved the mystery in issue 3. So if you're like me, you're like, but wait, why is there another story? Well, this is actually an anthology of stories featuring Mycroft Holmes, who is not only was that case an interesting one that came across my desk, but there's been 3 other interesting stories that have come to me recently, and that one made me look into them. And so we see one story about a woman who, a murder that happens at a building, for, I think it's a bank, but it's a woman is there, and we find out that her husband is very much tied to this murder, as well as the murder of somebody else, and we figure out what that may look like. And then we get another story about a journalist who is trying to tell everybody that vampires exist, and of course they don't believe him, and he builds up this elaborate major sensationalized story and ends up costing himself his job to try to make people believe vampires exist. And we find out the reasons why he would do that as that story unfolds. And then the last story is all about a special item that Mycroft collects, and the people who come looking for it, and what exactly that item is and why they want it is the important thing for the next the next go round of my craft stories. This does lead us into a volume 2, which will have a new story from Sherlock called Knights of Frankenstein. Like knights as in like Knights of the Round Table kind of knights. So I'm really excited. These are really great. If you're Sherlock Holmes fans, you can see that the text in them is very small and there's a lot to it because, and I'm going to reopen this because it is like a Sherlock Holmes novel dropped into comic panels. And so you're going to get a lot when you read it. It does take a minute. And if you want to solve that mystery with Sherlock, you got to be paying attention. Exorcism at 1600 Pen, issue 4 from IDW. And this is the wrap-up of Exorcism at 1600 Pen, too. Talk about popular books at Bat City. This is something I literally can order the whole set, stick it on the shelf, and it's gone within like a week. And so we're at the end now, so you got to come get all the issues. A trade will probably be coming soon, and obviously we will have them. But this is the story of a woman who is elected president of the United States, and she's very concerned about this massive virus that is being like spotted at all different places, and it's supposed to cause hallucinations and crazy things, and she's really worried about that, and the essential like war that might come from it and everything, and she's trying to figure out how to navigate that. Meanwhile, her kids have to go to a new school for the first time, and in the process of going to this new school, her young daughter gets possessed by a demon, and this possession causes a lot of crazy things to happen. And in this issue, we have finally figured out, the adults have finally figured out that this is actually a true possession and something crazy is going on. And so Mom uses all of the power that she has as president to try to get people in to help her. And we learn what the demons are and what they want and how to handle all of that in this issue. But again, I don't want to show you too much because I don't want to spoil it. But I love how dark and crazy this specific issue gets with all of the demons and stuff. So it's really cool. Issue 4 of The Brood from Dark Horse, and this is from the world of minor threats. And one of the things I'd love to say is to remind you that just because it is from the world does not mean you need to know anything about the world. And they don't actually connect really, much like the Hellboy miniseries where you don't really have to know anything about Hellboy. You can read these. If you want to know the world of minor threats, it's just a story of like the villains who are not the big villains. And so it's like, what are some unique, weird, offshoot villains that we could make up in this world? We have been, in this story, following a man who is kind of like our mastermind, who is on his deathbed, and he wants to know which one of his kids is going to take over. And so the first issue was kind of him talking to them about everything that was going to happen. And each of the issues following has been following one of his kids as they kind of react to the situation, and also while we see what their powers are, and then moving the story forward. And so he has 3 kids. One is a son who wants to just be normal and live his life as a police detective. One is a daughter who has all of the same smarts and tries to live her life as a supervillain. And now we are on the youngest son, who has accepted magic as his power and has been trying to build a connection with this spirit of another magician and kind of figure out how to just take over this world and do his own things in there through it. And we see how that works out for him in this issue. And we also get to see the story of what is like the continuation of this story as his family kind of deals with what could happen to the dad, what would happen in the fallout of all of that, and where these people are going to go as villains within themselves and beyond. And so a really great family supervillain story, and just kind of giving heart to those kinds of characters as they go. So all 4 issues are here. I believe this will be the end of this, for at least for now. And I'm going to double check that as I say to see if it teases anything for the future. Yes, it does say the end and a beginning. So, you know, it could be the end. It could be, it could lead to more. I'm going to take another drink before we go into these. So again, I'm drinking Root 1, which is a Cab Sav from Chile, and very like potent flavors, mochas and full-bodied grapes and stuff. But right, I'm going to slide that back over while I continue. And we're going to jump into Seasons number 3 from Image Comics Giant Generator. And the man behind the giant generator himself, Rick Remender. This is such a big adventure unfolding in such an interesting way. This is about 4 girls who are named after the 4 seasons and have very similar personalities to the season they're named for. And our youngest is Spring, and she's kind of just trying to hold it all together. She's being raised by her sister Winter while everybody else has gone off to do their own thing. Her sister Autumn is doing some research on what happened to their parents who went missing, and Summer is a big celebrity and doesn't really want anything to do with the family. And so Spring's kind of the only one with a job, holding it together like a normal person, except she's very, very bad at her job. She's supposed to be a courier, and she's just constantly easily distracted by different things. And the most recent distraction is that there is a giant evil carnival coming to town, and there is some wicked clowns who are determined to take out the season family. And we're not sure why. We know we got a letter from Autumn that warned us about this circus, but we don't really know what's going on. And unfortunately for Spring, nobody believes her. And so she's trying very hard to convince her sister that this is a very dangerous time and they need to get out of town. But Winter just thinks that it's another one of her frivolous spring fancies, and so she doesn't want to test her. But the thing is, it is getting worse and worse, and these clowns definitely are coming at her, and there is some big dangers coming. And man, is that cover for the next issue wicked cool. Look at that. I can't wait to keep this story going. It has, the first issue, the big thing was that Rick Remender wanted the first issue to kind of feel like you were reading something like Tintin, which had like this big adventure of just like follow the bouncing ball almost as we followed the letter that Spring was chasing. Now we're opening up to actually seeing something going on with these sisters, and getting to know each of them a little bit more has only led us to even more trouble. We've got Power Lords issue 3 from Oni Press and the Nacelle universe. This is the wrap-up of Power Lords. And if you have been following along the Nacelle verse, which is a bunch of 80s toys and shows and things like that, each series has been 3 issues that's going to lead us towards one big giant, like, Nacelle universe that's coming. Kind of just giving us a who are these characters and where are they from. The Power Lords are this team of people who all have special power crystals that makes them kind of guardians of the universe. And their leader is supposed to be Adam Power, but he is a cocky earthling who just kind of feels like he doesn't have to play well with the team, and the team has kicked him out. But not only that, his power crystal has been lost in space, and he has been forced to live as a regular human and deal with that situation. And he's kind of manipulated some people to help him go out on an adventure to find his power crystal, only to find out that there are lots of bad guys who are after it, as well as his former partners, the Power Lords. And now that's all kind of coming to a head in this issue, and Adam has to learn how to either be a part of the team or go without forever as this adventure unfolds in a huge way across time and space in this issue. The Patchwork Girl of Oz, issue 3 from Image. I am so excited that this exists. I love when people do Oz retellings. I especially love it when they do them for actually for children, as the Oz books should be. And this is, oh my gosh, what is the Patchwork Girl of Oz is? I don't even know which book in the Oz series because there's so many of them. But this is the story of a patchwork girl. She is created by a magician of sorts. It follows, in this particular comic, we are following a young boy and his uncle who are trying to find their way to Munchkin Land, and they're like living on the outskirts of Munchkin Land, and they're kind of going into it to figure out some things that are going on. They stop to visit a friend who's a professor who has created a life powder. It's a powder that can bring things to life. We learn that he has previously done this with a glass cat, which is super cute, but also super full of itself, as one might imagine a beautiful cat would be. And they are needing to correct that problem because they wanted something that could help them around their home. And so they've decided to make a girl out of a patchwork blanket. And they explain the reason why in this is that, like, in Munchkin Land, everything is blue. And so they feel like if they made her completely different from everybody else, she wouldn't find herself, like the cat, to be beautiful and like too high above them. But our young boy doesn't like that that's the way they're treating her, so he sneaks some extra emotions and thoughts and ideas inside of her brain before she's brought to life, and of course hijinks are going to ensue after. A great way to read the Oz books and keep it going for the next generation as well. So if you had little kids who liked Wicked, they cannot read Wicked, but you can get them Wizard of Oz kid comics to get them to learn more about the Oz world. Also, again, please don't give your children Wicked. It is not a book for children, unless you get one of the little golden book versions of it. It is not made for kids. Kill Train issue 3 from Mad Cave. This is such a wild horror adventure. This is all about a world where basically the population has gotten too far gone in New York, and so they just at random decide to kill everybody on a train. Bless you. Kill everybody on a train to stop like the population from growing. You never know what train it's going to be. You never know what's going to happen. And of course, it ends up being only people who have to ride the train, and everybody who has enough money has stopped riding the train. So you get where they're going with this. Usually once there's a killed train, there's not another one for like a couple of months or something. So this woman who is trying her best to just be there for her daughter, but and needs a new job and needs to like recover from all the stuff that's been going on in her life, decides she's like, it's safe to take the train, only to find out that it is not. And the train she's gotten on, even though there was just a kill train the day before, is actually going to be one. And so she has to figure out how to survive this train. And she is going to help all of her friends that she meets along the way get off this train too, if it's the last thing she does. However, in issue 3, as always, a turn of events happens, and she is having a psychotic breakdown while she's on this train, and she is basically living every trauma she's ever had while she's going through this, and she's supposed to be leading the way and helping everybody else get through, but she is literally just breaking down in front of them. And whether or not that's going to help them or harm them is to be determined as she makes her way through this train. But each car gets more and more deadly in a different way, and they're so close and yet so far away. It's Mad Cave, so we probably only have 2 issues left, but let's see if she makes it out. It's so good. Also, if you're not reading it, you should. It's fantastic. Howl number 3 from Ahoy Comics. Speaking of books you should be reading if you're not. This is not about werewolves. This is actually about an alien invasion in the weirdest way possible. This takes place in the 1950s, and it follows I don't think there's anything in this book. It follows a woman who is kind of just trying to make a life for herself with this very pretentious writer. And she's like, I just want to be the perfect like wife for you, and I want to have this nice life. And all of their friends are also pretentious people. And all of the men start going to see the same therapist. And that therapist seems to have some weird effects on anybody she comes in contact with. And of course, we as readers know why, but our main character does not. And so she is starting to notice all of the people who have gone to this therapist are just coming out completely like mind-controlled zombies almost, and that weird stuff is happening, and all the women are starting to get really afraid of their husbands, and a lot of the women are starting to find themselves kind of also having some of the strange, weird occurrences that the men have been having. And in this issue, one of her friends whose husband has been affected by the therapist and her alien type ways is about to have a baby, and she's scared of the doctors, and she's scared of men, and she's scared of everything, and she's like, I am in labor, I need to have some help. And so they have to call in a friend that has not ever been exposed to this therapist, and things get really, really weird really quickly. If you like alien books, if you like things that are like sci-fi and kind of like slow-moving societal conversations at the same time as being an alien invasion, this is definitely a great one. Of course, it's Ahoy. It's got a lot to say. Into the Unbeing, Part 2, Issue 2 from Dark Horse. You absolutely 100% in every shape and form have to read volume 1 of this book to read volume 2. It really just picks up exactly where volume 1 left off storytelling wise, which is that we are following a group of women who work for a thing called Sinew, which is a science organization that is trying to figure out if there's any places that are habitable for us to live in after we've essentially destroyed the world. They are out of the countryside of Australia, and they find a thing that seems to be radiating life, and so they go out to check it thinking it's a cavern. It is not a cavern. It is some kind of sentient being, and when they wander into it, they are now stuck inside of it, cannot find their way out. All kinds of crazy dark things are happening. They end up coming in contact with a man who is now become one of the beings inside of it that has been there since long before any of them. And this is my favorite page in the whole thing because Hayden Sherman is so good at paneling. And this is one of them because it has this little like twisty twirly thing, and you actually have to read in the shape of the twisty twirly thing. So you like go down the panel like normal, and then you have to come around here, and it just adds to the elements of craziness, especially because this whole thing is essentially like being inside of the body of this thing. And as they describe the body parts, Hayden makes the panels look like them, which is super duper cool. This is definitely one that you're going to want to have like something like this physical version so you can zoom in and out with your own eyeballs to kind of catch those things. Fantastic story. We don't know who we can trust and who we can't. Every time you learn about somebody who like in the group, like kind of having a reaction to something, you kind of start to distrust whatever they're going to see in the future. And I don't know if these people are ever going to make it out. They think that they will. I don't know that they will. But the longer they're in there, the more Hayden draws cool things. So I'm in. Just stay stuck in there and let Hayden draw some great art around it. All right, we've got a couple books from the world of Hellboy this week. We've got Frankenstein New World issue 2 from Dark Horse. Obviously, they're both going to be from Dark Horse because they're in the Hellboy universe. But this is kind of taking on that Frankenstein story of the Frankenstein's monster that's in the Dark Horse universe. He is teaming up with a little girl who they are trying to get to a place where they can find safety, but also figure out some big problems that they're dealing with. And they've just recently crossed this sea and landed on the island place that they need to be. And they're kind of having a night with these island people. And they're like, hey, we're going to sing some music. It's going to stay really loud. Make sure you drown out everything else. And they're like, what is the other voices that we're supposed to be drowning out? And they're like, there are sirens in the ocean. And if you answer the call of the sirens, you will never make it back. And so Frankenstein's monster, being that he's not normal, like not a human, wants to help these people. And so he decides he's going to go into the sea and try to fight these sirens to leave the area and keep these people safe. But just because you're not human doesn't mean you can overcome the sirens as easily as you think, and that is the situation that the creature finds himself in as the story unfolds. Again, absolutely nothing to do with Hellboy, so you could read it at any point in time. Shadow of the Golden Crane issue 2, also from the Hellboy universe, also from Dark Horse, actually does have Hellboy. So very rare that we actually see Hellboy in these side stories. So if you are a Hellboy fan, this is definitely one to pick up. This is the story of Sue, who is working to investigate some mysterious possessions and things that are going on. And in every time that she is doing that, she ends up having these flashbacks and is having these memories of somebody who also fought possessions back in the like more ancient days, and is able to see how to kind of solve the problems of the different kinds of possession that they're facing, but is also getting these teases of a thing called the Golden Crane and a secret society. And so every time they kind of come out of that situation, it's like we might need to investigate this Golden Crane society and figure out what's actually going on. In this issue, she is trying to figure out how to stop a woman who is a grandma who has gone crazy and starts acting like a general in an army, trying to rally the troops and take down everybody she sees. And so they must go back in time and witness that in feudal, like Japan, China kind of time period, and see, I believe it's Chinese dynasty, and see what exactly they can do to kind of stop that woman and go. And you, like I said, you'd see a little bit of Hellboy in there. All right, we got some number ones, some things launching this week. Like I said, we have the return of Bitter Root with the next movement. This is issue 1 from Image Comics. It is definitely going to be helpful to jump into this if you have read Bitter Root. All of the previous incarnations of Bitter Root are in trade paperback form, so you can always jump in and get to know a little bit about that. But this takes place in 1964, and if you don't know the Bitter Root family, basically our characters are people who fight against demons and try to keep them at bay in these early days of like the civil rights movement. So there's a lot of connection to situations in the civil rights movements that make these monsters kind of appear and them have to fight. This family is awesome. The characters are so good. I love the way they all work together. And now in this, at the end of the last stories of the Bitter Root world, we kind of thought that we had everything a little under control. Well, what we're learning in here is that we don't. That the monsters that they thought were the demons that they thought were never going to come back, that those societies kind of pushed aside from their memory, are actually probably most likely back, because all of the situations that we're seeing are kind of reminiscent of that. And of course, society doesn't want to listen to anything that their family has to say because they are people of color and they don't want to believe what they are saying is true. And they have to deal with not only that, but trying to get these enemies of humanity under control. And in this one, we get to see that kind of take the form of a bus getting destroyed, and there's a bunch of people who have gone missing as this bus has been just kind of torn apart. There's 3 people that are missing. They need to find them because they're one of them is a very prominent person, and everybody else on the bus did not fare so well. And so that's how they kind of know what kind of demons they're facing, and we're gonna see how this plays out. Again, always great. This is a multi-Eisner nominee and winning book series, and so excited that it's back, and I expect it to just have the same incredible storytelling and art and adventures that we've seen in the past, and great, like I said, characters, and we're going to see some new ones, which is going to be cool. Our Brilliant Ruin Horror at Crane Mansion, number 1 from Dark Horse, and speaking of loving Agatha Christie style murder mysteries, this is definitely going to give us something of that. This is apparently there is a role-playing game, Our Brilliant Ruin. I learned this on the back of this book, and so if you play the game, this might kind of have some similar elements to it. But this is all about a woman who is a detective who kind of deals with all of the societal problems that people are having. And so in this, her and her assistant come to a coming out party for a young debutante, and she is, of course, it's a coming out party for a debutante, so all of the suitors are going to show up who want to marry her, and she has been hired to figure out who exactly is just kind of trying to scam for money and who is a worthwhile candidate. And of course, she has her own secret past with all of these people, and so she hates all of them, but is trying to pretend like that's not true because she's got to have an unbiased opinion as she forms her new ones. But of course, this couldn't be just a simple investigation into types of people who are there. There must be a murder, and we must solve who the murder is, what they used to do it, and how exactly this murder is coming into play. So this is going to be an unfolding of many characters, because we have all seen her assessment of each of these characters already as she chose them for suitors, and now we're going to see the assessments of them as murderers. It's going to be wild. It's going to be fun. Kids, speaking of things that are wild, the Kids from Image Comics and Ninth Circle. This is a one-shot from Garth Ennis and Dalibor Talajik, who did Hotel from AWA. This is a crazy book. This is also has a lot of things that are hard to show on here. Because basically what happens in this book is a cute, loving family puts their baby to sleep, and when they all go to sleep, they are awoken in the middle of the night to find that there are crazy adult humans attacking people all over the city. And they're not really sure where it comes from, but there seems to be one in every house. that is on their street, and it's so hard because
Is this violent?
no, it's not violent. It's connected to the situation that makes these humans like crazy humans happen, somehow makes them all have not clothes on. And so there's some nudity afoot. But this family, this mom, dad, and a son who cannot find their baby, all are trying to find a way to get to safety because these people are just getting attacked left and right and nobody knows why. They end up taking their neighbor with them, who they all kind of hate, but is kind of the only person that's like, you guys have to move, like, and she's very crass and doesn't seem to like anybody, and they don't really like her, but it kind of keeps them on the move as the story unfolds. It is a one shot, so you're gonna see kind of the entire adventure as these people kind of piece together what could have happened. They go to the hospital looking for help, and it kind of helps them figure out what happened more than it does actually help them with their injuries and things that they need. Wild adventure, very like crazy, very violent. I like to call them hyper violent adults who have taken the place of the kids. Okay, so I guess I can tell you because it's on the back of the book, so it's not really a spoiler. Basically, every kid under the age of 1 disappears and is replaced by a hyper-violent adult. Is the premise of the book according to the back, so I guess it's fair to tell you that. And so they're doing their best to figure out how to survive the time and what's going on. And you're gonna have to do the same. Far down below, issue 1 from Mad Cave. Another exciting Mad Cave adventure coming your way. This is such a chaotic opening story. So it starts in April 1865, and there's these people who are like, oh my gosh, we have just discovered that the earth is actually hollow. We've made it into the center, like there's nothing here, we could build cities, we could do all this stuff, and then of course like something wicked and terrifying happens, and then we just fast forward to April 1983. And there's 2 boys who are hanging out, and they're just having regular after school fun, teasing each other, playing games, doing all kinds of stuff. They're talking about the girl that they want to call, who they think is cute. And one of the boys ends up realizing when they have to go to the basement to pick a wine for the mom for dinner, which I'm very excited because the kids crack me up because the mom's like, please go get a red wine from the basement, and they're like, well, what kind of wine, Mom? And she's like, red. And they're like, that's not a kind of wine, Mom. There's Pinot Noir, there's Malbec, there's and they start naming all the red wines, and it makes me very happy. Anyway, these kids go down to the basement, and the friend figures out that he is hanging out with the kid who is related to the people who own the town haunted house, and everybody's always wanted to go into the house, and those that have seen some crazy things happen. And he's like, if you can go, you have the keys, so we could go into the house and we could be there as long as we wanted, and we can do whatever we want. And the kid's like, I don't want to do that. My dad owned that house, and my dad didn't want us in there because my grandpa went missing in the 60s, and everybody in my family has been this place isn't safe, and they're we have to go. And so of course kids ride their bikes in rain to haunted house, and scary creepy things start happening. Bad things are going to happen. This is going to connect somehow to the 1860s. I'm not really sure how just yet, but things are happening, and it's getting dark and creepy, and these kids are in a world of trouble already, and you have to read it to find out how. It's Chris Condon. It's going to be great. I love Chris Condon. All right. So I'm really excited. Here we go. Next round of our Universal Monsters is here with The Mummy #1 from Image Comics, Universal Studios, and Skybound. This is such a great partnership so far, and we are here with the next one. These are all related to the actual Universal Monsters movies, so they're going to follow a lot of that storytelling. And so this follows actually a girl who wants so very badly to be considered in with her friends that all are near her dad's dig site. Her dad is a archaeologist who's working on digging up a mummy, a very particular one, if you know the story. And she just wants the people to think she's cool, even though she's half British, and the people don't necessarily like her, and her dad's kind of in charge of like everybody in town and super rich, but she uses that power to kind of get her friends a chance to go out to a nightclub, and they're all having fun. And then in the middle of the night, she decides to go out to the dig site with the friends, and something strange happens, and she finds herself waking up just randomly in the sands of Egypt and not really sure what happened after she saw a strange man in the distance. And now she's kind of dealing with the feeling that something strange is happening all over and around her, and she starts to see faces in the mirror and hear voices of somebody who is looking to find what's missing of themselves and the pieces that they need. I'm really excited about this book. I love The Mummy. I love the Mummy movie. I love the Mummy story. Obviously, I love the Brendan Fraser version too. But this is going to be great. I love Faith Erin Hicks is writing and drawing this, and so there's going to be a lot of that, like, young person discovering themselves and yet falling into dangerous situation added to the story too, and I'm really excited to see how that plays into the whole story. It's going to be fantastic. This issue is already great. I cannot wait for more Mummy. Let's go. All right, we've got an issue 0. So we've got Money Shots, Big Bang issue 0 from Vault Comics. There is a new Money Shot volume coming out, and Vault knows that it's been a lot of years of this story for them, and that it's always a big difference of time between each one. And so what they decided to do was make this 0 issue that is actually going to wrap you through every single volume of Money Shot, which is a genius idea, and I think we should see more comics that go on for long years do this. And so it actually, like, you'll see it'll do stuff like this where it actually says like part 1, and then it gives you the recap of what happened in volume 1, and then it gives you a little bit of panel pages that actually show you like part of that story. And then it'll go to another section of the story and be like, part 2, and this is what happened in volume 2, and then it kind of takes you into some panel pages. If you've never read it, once again, a very mature title. You can tell that by the name. It is something that is all about some people who are researchers, and they're trying to do all of their science research, and they can never get funding, and they're like, we spend all of our time writing grant applications and not actually doing any research, and this is ridiculous. So what if we come up with another way to get money instead? And they decide adult films is the way to do that, and they're going to do it all throughout space so that they can continue to do their research while they're also doing that so that they can fund it. And we're going to see what this new volume takes them to, because a lot of big things happen at the end of the last volume that's left us with people in prison, people dead, financing lost, and things like that. So if you want to catch up so that you can do that, and you're like, I don't really want to read 5 or 6 volumes before the next one comes out, you can just read the 0 issue and learn all of the things that you need to for the next one, which is, I believe, written by Patton Oswalt. All right, so we've got some picks of the week. I'm going to mix these up a little bit because I don't really know what order I want to go in, because I knew which picks were going to be my picks of the week before I even read a single book this week, really, because I've been waiting for all of these for so long. So first up is You'll Do Bad Things, number 1, from Image Comics and Tyler Boss, who I'm a big fan of because of Dead Dog's Bite, and What's the Furthest Place from Here that he does with Matthew Rosenberg. I'm really excited about this book. It's great. It kind of seems like at the very beginning that it is just going to be like a horror slasher, where we kind of see a girl who is on a date and she's having this like rom-com moment, and then all of a sudden like it turns into a slasher story. And then we fall into our actual story, which is about a man who is a writer. And he is supposed to be writing his next big story, and his agent is waiting for all of these, like his editor is waiting for all the pages, and is constantly harassing him about the fact that he needs to turn in pages. And he's like, I know you need another book from me. I just don't want to write true crime stories anymore. I don't want to write murder mysteries. I don't want to write any of those kinds of stories. I want to do something else. And they're like, well, do something else then. He's like, I want to write romance. But every time I try to write romance, it turns into a horror book. It turns into a slasher. I can't figure out what it is. And so it kind of leads us to believe that, like, maybe the stories that we're seeing of this slasher are actually, like, the story he's trying to write, like these beautiful romance stories that are getting turned into something. But the question is it all in his head, or is it happening? Is this really a thing that is going on? Is there a murder on the loose? Is there a serial killer? Or is his story is his story coming to light? Or is it all just his story that he's trying to figure out? All of these questions are the things that you're left with on every page of this book as you're trying to figure it out, which is really cool, because when you have that meta of, like, a writer trying to tell a story, but also, like, the story is the story, and yet the story is something more, always makes for a really good tale. And this is definitely going to continue to unfold into something really big from Tyler. And so definitely grab this and check it out, which so many of you did this week. Speaking of books that so many of you grabbed this week, we're taking Everyone Down With Us, #1, from Image, and our awesome friend Matthew Rosenberg. This is, again, Mozzarella Stick Master of the Universe. Matthew Rosenberg is what I should call him, from all the mozzarella sticks he got us at Comics Pro. This guy always has a great story to tell, and this is definitely no exception to that. This is all about a young girl named Annalise, who is being raised on like a secluded island with her dad, who is a mad scientist. He is definitely got some major villain vibes going on and is up to some no good stuff. And it's just him and his assistant and his team of androids that are essentially raising his daughter. And she wants nothing more than just to have a connection with her dad. And he seems not to be very good at having that human interaction. And so she kind of begs for him to just spend some time with her one day and play hide and seek. And it's funny because he's like, we can play hide or we can play seek, but I don't have time for both. And she's like, that's not how the game works. And in the process of doing that, she discovers a secret room that her dad has, which is actually not something that he wanted her to find out. And she sees a little bit of that you might be a psycho killer, bad guy kind of person about her dad. And so she starts to uncover those things, but still doesn't really understand what's going on. And neither do we really. We're kind of just getting the bare brushes of it as the story starts to unfold. It's going to be a really cool spy thriller. We get to see a little bit of the people that we're going to see coming after these people and what's going to come towards them and what the big world is going to have inside of it. And so if you're looking for just a really cool sci-fi spy, it's told from the other side, like the kid who's stuck in the middle of all of it, this is going to be a great one. And I know, like I said, so many of you picked it up this week, and if you didn't, you definitely need to, because it's so good. And then lastly, we've got a one-shot from Patrick Horvath, who did Beneath the Trees Where No One Sees. And this is from Oni Press, and this is all right here, one story, all in one. And this is, Patrick does the writing and the art on this. And so if you enjoyed Beneath the Trees, you definitely want to jump into and grab this. But this is basically, we've gotten to the point in the future where... Oh, free for all. Sorry. We've gotten to the point where there's like a world finance organization that is making sure that World Financial League, which makes sure that everybody in the world kind of gets to have the money that they need. It's kind of their way of solving poverty. And essentially the way they do that is, if you are a billionaire, you will be put into essentially like a Hunger Games kind of lottery, and then you will be chosen at random to go into the gladiator pit and fight against another billionaire, and whoever loses, their money is dispersed amongst the people of the world. And in this, we have Ted Brooks, who has 22 victories under his belt and has been basically determined to continue being like the gladiator that everybody fights, because he is a terrible person. And we find out that one of the things he did was kind of screw over his ex-wife who used to be his business partner. And so now she is kind of training on purpose because she has regained her wealth and is training on purpose to be able to get into this lottery hopefully someday so that she can hopefully get there before somebody else defeats him. But it's really interesting just to see like the structure of everything that Patrick has created for this World Financial League and World Finance League, and to see these like gladiatorial style battles between these people, and just the tagline being like death before bankruptcy, and just it's awesome to see. It's such a wild adventure. It's all in this one book. It's 56 pages, so you're getting your money's worth for sure with this story, especially because it is Patrick on it. But yeah. You got to read it because there's some great twists and turns to see the relationship dynamics between all of these people, and kind of like people getting their comeuppance in the way that they deserve.
Free for all.
Free for all. And it's a one shot. So, you only have to read the one and it's done. All right, there's a bunch more books that came out this week. This is a really big week for Big Two, which is Marvel and DC. So if you didn't stop into your local comic shop this week, I'm going to run through all of them really fast as to reasons why you should. I'm going to do that one last. Harley Quinn issue 49 is out this week, as well as the Harley Quinn Fartacular, which is supposed to be a scratch and sniff book that smells like farts. We've got Godzilla versus the Fantastic Four. This is a part of our Godzilla versus Marvel universe that's going on for the next couple of weeks, months. And we've got Green Lantern issue 21, The Flash issue 19, Fantastic Four issue 30, which I know a lot of people were coming in for because that is a big issue for the Fantastic Four. Deadpool Wolverine Slash 'em Up number 1, Pulmonati issue 1. We've got a couple more books from that Doom, One World Under Doom, including Doom Academy number 2 and Doom Division number 1, and of course Red Hulk number 2, which also falls into your One World Under Doom. And in theory, there should be a checklist if you're trying to catch them all. Yes, there's a checklist at the back of all of your One World Under Doom titles to tell you which books you need to grab. So make sure you're checking that every time you go into your comic book store. Black Canary Best of the Best, issue 5 from Tom King in DC. Batman The Long Halloween, The Last Halloween, issue 6. And speaking of Batman, we had the return of Hush. Hush 2 started this week with Batman 158. If you are a fan of the Hush story from previously, this is Jim Lee and Jeff Loeb still working on it once again, and of course I know so many of you were coming out looking for that this week. Absolute Wonder Woman issue 6, Power Girl issue 19, Peacemaker is back with Peacemaker presents the Vigilante Eagly double feature, and this is a 5-part series. It's going to have, of course, Peacemaker and Vigilante in it. The Infinity Watch issue 3, Green Arrow issue 22, Weapon X-Men issue 2, which is one of those. This issue is not connected to One World Under Doom. I was like, what was I going to say? This is not connected to One World Under Doom, even though issue 1 was. X-Men Manhunt Omega. This is the wrap-up of the X-Men Manhunt. Rogue Savage Land issue 3. Wonder Woman issue 19. Wolverine Revenge issue 5. Plus Ultimate Wolverine issue 3. And Ultimate Spider-Man issue 15 out this week. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Naruto issue 3 is out from IDW this week. Star Wars High Republic Fear of the Jedi issue 2, Star Wars The Rise of Skywalker issue 2, which is going to give you your adaptation of that, Skywalker Saga with Rey. Superman A War on Two Fronts is the new volume, or story arc that's starting, and that's issue 24 of Superman. Gunslinger issue 41. We had Amazing Spider-Man issue 70 with this cute Scotty Young cover. Radiant Black has hit issue 32. I'm slightly behind, which is why I didn't read it. Metamorpho the Alien Man issue 4. You're going to want to get all your Metamorpho knowledge in before that Superman movie comes out. And then Justice League Unlimited issue 5 with that Mark Spears variant. I know a lot of you are coming looking for those. And also launching this week is Absolute Martian Manhunter issue 1. Those absolutes are awesome, crazy, great stories that people are really loving. But if you haven't seen the art on Absolute Martian Manhunter, it is absolutely wild. And I just want to show like some of the cool, crazy designs that are happening in here from Javier Rodriguez. I'm really excited. I've read part of it already, and I can't wait to read the rest of it. We've also got a bunch of graphic novels and trades in stock this week. We've got Hourglass, which is Hourglass. It's called many things. Perfect machine, the source of all life, fountain of youth, promises immortal comfort to the privileged, but it also looms over its creator. And we are going to see what happens as this unravels, literally, for these people. It's a great new Silver Sprocket story. We've got There's No Time Like the Present, which is going to be a new drawn and quarterly title, which you know is going to have lots of probably anxious people and desperate times and existential crisis coming your way. Batman Dark Age is out in hardcover from Mark Russell and the All Red team, and there was just a teaser of a Wonder Woman image, which means we're probably going to get Wonder Woman's story from them soon too. Hopeless Maine Book 2. It's such a pretty story. But this is not a story about growing up. It's a story about thinking you had grown up already and finding out things were not so simple after all. It's another one of those that kind of looks like storyboards on the inside and is really pretty. Black Cloak Volume 2. This is issues 7 through 11 of Black Cloak, the most recent arc that came out. This is 4 books at the same time. Little Thunder Kailu. Have you ever dreamed of escaping to return to the warm and carefree moments of childhood? This is one teenager finding out just exactly how she can do that when she picks up an album from a record store. It is such a pretty sounding book, and I can't wait to check it out. We've got Beta Ray Bill from Daniel Warren Johnson, actually in trade paperback form. This is all 5 of those issues from, I think it was 2021. When that came out, but if you never had a chance to read it, now it is in trade paperback. Nightwing Fallen Grace, and this is volume 7 of the Tom Taylor, Bruno Redondo, Eisner winning Nightwing run, and that is going to have issues 114 through 118 in it. Holy Roller is out. This is Rick Remender and Andy Samberg. Yes, that Andy Samberg, writing a really great story of a son, prodigal son, kind of returning home, realizing that his entire community has been overrun by terrible people and trying to figure out how to stop them as a vigilante using a bowling ball. And then, of course, as I mentioned earlier, Minor Arcana Volume 1 is out from Boom Studios and Jeff Lemire, and this is all about a woman who has to go home to take care of her mom, who is the phony small-town psychic, only to find out that there may be more to the psychic abilities in her family than she ever knew. Woo, lots of great books coming out this week. You've got to check it out. And then, you know what? We're going to do it all again next week because comics come out every Wednesday for New Comic Book Day. It's going to be great. I cannot wait to see what there is this week. I just love comics. I love reading them. Remember, we don't have any major events going on here in the store this week, but April 5th, 11 to 7, which is this Saturday, we will be at the Bradenton Art and Music Festival downtown on the Riverwalk. The store will still be open, but you can come join us out there for some fun times. And until then, I'm going to be drinking this Root One, celebrating all these new comics coming out, and I hope you are going to be having some happy reading. We'll see you next time, everybody. Bye.